Hey, everybody. Um, it is Christmas time, as you can see. To kick off the Christmas week festivities, I'm going to make some jam. It is also a celebration of cleaning out the freezer. I have a lot of frozen fruit because there are times when the supply chain is poorly and cannot accommodate us. And there are times when I need a lot of a certain kind of fruit. However, it has started to create some gridlock, if you will, in my freezer situation. So I made some cranberry preserves recently. That went well. And then I made a spiced strawberry preserve recently as well to begin cleaning out that freezer. However, my hands were not working as well that day and it was hard to get them sealed. It's very easy to do the seal. You don't have to do any kind of boiling, any kind of putting jars in ovens or anything like that. I'll show you how to do it where all you got to do is twist the lid and you're done. And it will make a proper seal. So here we go. I'm going to do part one now. I'll show you how I'm putting these things together. And then we'll do a part two when it's time to jar everything up. Okay, so first thing, here we are at the stove. And what we've got going right now, I put a little hand thing on here, is I've just put this on to go. This is pineapple, nutmeg, organic evaporated cane sugar. It is blonde. It's blonder than a turbinado sugar. But it's really excellent. The reason I mention it is because you really can't mess stuff up when you use that instead of a white sugar. White sugar is prone to recrystallization and it has no molasses or other phytonutrients to grab onto and maintain its proper structure, which makes it very difficult to work with when you're making candy. You'll notice I have no candy thermometer working here. I'm not going to be measuring temperature at all, and it's going to come out perfect. I made nut brittle the other day. It was the same thing. I've never been trained on how to make candy, but because I've only ever made candy using that kind of sugar, it never goes wrong. It never gets crystally. It never burns. It's always perfect. So that's the kind of sugar you definitely want to use. It's a tiny bit more money than your white sugar, but the truth is that anything in a white powder is bad for your body, really. So that's just about across the board. You can kind of count on that in most cases. So the way I've got this is I've got a cover on it. That is 2 pounds of pineapple, of just frozen pineapple. And the reason I started with pineapple is because when I bought the pineapple, I thought that it would be handy to have, but then I used it to make some sorbet and so forth. And it turns out just because the main zip in pineapple is from the vitamin C, and vitamin C dies the second you put it in the freezer, it just doesn't taste good. It's just flat. It almost tastes canned. So there's no point in keeping it in frozen state, taking up a bunch of space. I'm going to turn it into jam, and then we'll have a lot more space, and we can give it out or use it over as time goes by. I'll have a few more tips on that in the next section on how to decide what kind of jars you want. But you maybe noticed there's a little brown stuff in there too. That's nutmeg. I put enough sugar in there to be as sweet as I would want, or maybe to give away. And then a little bit of water to just get it going. I've just got it on a medium heat, and that's so that I can walk away. That's so that I can watch my stories, okay? I'm watching the Brady Bunch Christmas, and I cannot be interrupted. It's very important state business. So we've got that on. Then you want to turn on your timer, whatever timer you like. And I'm going to keep this going for about 25 minutes. It's going to heat up kind of slow. If I were in here and, doing a bunch of stuff, it'd be one thing. But since I'm not going to be in here and I don't want to stare at it for 10 minutes until it boils, you do want to keep it covered. You're going to bring it up to that boil, and then we'll take the lid off and just let it do its own breakdown, okay? And then I'll show you what to do next with it. Now, while that's going, I'm going to show you one other one. We'll use my big pot over here. It's not really going to require that big pot, really, but I'll do a similar a similar jam later with that same big pot after I get done with this. So I'll show you soup to nuts how we get started on this one. This is raspberry, and I got these raspberries on a good price, but they weren't very good. Okay, so usually the ones I like to get are really good. They almost just taste fresh. These definitely do not. So what I'm going to do is turn them into jam. When you're turning them into jam, you know, from fresh, you get a pretty good result from that. So we're just going to put that in there. Also, I'm putting these in here because these are not quite all the way frozen. And the reason is because I have them in an old refrigerator that freezes stuff at inconvenient times, but doesn't quite all the time keep your stuff frozen either. So it's sort of the worst of both worlds. And so it's time to free that space up for something else, or to just put the refrigerator out of its misery entirely. So I'm gonna, and you see how easy this is. This is just sticking it all in there. These are 10-ounce containers, 10-ounce bags. So altogether, we're going to have 40 ounces, which is 2.5 pounds, which is just about the same as over here. We don't really need this big pot, but we'll use it for something else, and that way we won't have to wash it twice, which does make sense. So got a little stuck in there, but okay, that'll be fine. And that holds, this holds quite a bit, but it's not going to need quite a bit. This is already largely broken down. In fact, it's so largely broken down. I think I'm going to put it in here. That's unexpected. I think that's what we're going to do. You know, you just be flexible. You be flexible, y'all. In the Messy Homestead, we generally leave things on the stove. We leave the pots on the stove, largely because, kind of out of breath. Largely because A, we use it. B, it's kind of hard for me to lift things sometimes, and then also because when I wash and dry them, I like to dry them on the stove so they're out in the air. And it just kind of turns out they just kind of stay on the stove because you just keep using them. So usually that is where they are. So obviously you don't need to dirty up 2 pans if you can help it. But that is what a Messy Homestead is all about. So we don't mind a little bit. I'm going to put this is a little ice block on here too. But it'll be okay because it's going to melt down. It'll be our water. You always want a little bit of water in there so you don't burn that sugar in the first couple of minutes and ruin everything. And have to start all over and maybe ruin your fruit. Okay, so you can see this is pretty full now, but that'll break right on down. It's no big deal that it's real full right now. We're going to put the lid on it. After, oh my goodness, I missed one. Okay, hang on. We have to adjust the situation. See? We're just adjusting. It's going to be all right. Everybody's okay. This is a pan I haven't used in a while, but it's just a little bit bigger than the other one. And so we are going to use this one. Okay, here we go. So just gonna plop all that in there. And remember, each container is only 10 ounces, so it's not going to be a big deal to add a little bit more. There is more room in here than there was in the other one. So here we go. Now, if you need it to break down a little bit for you, just drop it. Drop it a few times. It'll break up for you. It's already pretty much broken up. Do it one more time. It'll be okay. Okay, here we go. So, and what you want to think about when you're just doing one fruit at a time is what flavors do I want accompanying that, right? Do I want just a real pure kind of raspberry and sugar situation? Or do I want some flavors with it? I often like an extract in there. Almond and vanilla are always good options. And in fact, this is a little bit full right now. You see that? A little bit full right now. So I'm going to put it on the back burner, which is good for littles. And then I'll put the rest in a second. I'm going to get my lid here. There we go. And I'll put some sugar in here in a minute, but first I'm going to let that cook down just a little bit. So then you got two going here. But for the big one, we're going to do some mixed berries that I got real big bags, kind of the value size of the frozen fruit. And, oh, for God's sake, there's more. Oh, my gosh. See, I knew I had a reason for getting that big container out. Oh, my gosh. That's craziness. Okay. There's like a whole nother one. For heaven's sake. Okay, so you're going to have 60 ounces in this one, which is, let's see, over 3 pounds, but not 4, almost 4 pounds. Okay. Okay, so in this case, I'm actually going to wait to use this again. Okay, and this is actually at a boil level. Can you see, you can see the steam coming up. So I'm going to take this off because we want to lose some of that. You really just want enough water in there to have gotten that, that sugar going. That's all you need. You don't want to use something that can't handle hot sugar though. So try to use a wooden spoon where you can. Okay. You're just going to leave those whole. They're in chunks right now. Just going to be okay with that for a while. At the end, you can decide based on your syrup level and the shape that you want, the texture that you want, whether you want to smash them down like with a little masher. But right now, we're going to let those go. You can smell them real nice right now. It smells like they could use a little more sugar. And I'm going to grab a little bit of citrus peel. So I always keep citrus peel around because it's awesome. And you always have it extra because you didn't eat it. And you only want to do this if you got organic, okay? Just keep that in mind. It's fine if you get the pith in there because the pith has lots of special phytonutrients in it that we're not used to getting, but that are things that we need, okay? So that's about 2 tangerines worth, but you don't have to use tangerines. You can use something else if you would like. I'm going to give this another stir and just get those down in there so that they will candy properly. They're real tasty. They're like winning the lottery when you get to that little burst of really nicely candied orange peel situation. But again, that does smell like it could use a little more sugar. So adding about 2/3 of a cup. I'm just going to let that go for a while. It also does not smell very spicy, and I want this to be a little bit spicy. I added some nutmeg, but I'm going to add a little more. But we can do that in part 2. Okay. So, oops, somehow I didn't turn that on. Turning on the back. Now with some of your pots, you want to watch your handles. This handle gets hot, which is not overly helpful. So you want to put a little cozy on it. Uh-oh. Put a little cozy on it. And everything we're doing today is going to get so hot that nothing that doesn't belong there is going to want to live there. So you got good bacteria management going on with this thing. Okay. So it's been about 10 minutes. That's going to boil down for a little while. In fact, I need to put this on medium. If you put it on medium, it'll do its own thing for a while, but if you don't, then you really got to babysit it. And that is not the mission of the Messy House Homestead, as you might imagine. So I'm going to put the sugar on this one at the top again, so that it does not do any burning. Raspberries are quite tart, so I put a fair amount in there, and I think I am going to add just a smidge of water, just while that ice on it is breaking down. You just don't want for any of that bottom layer that's hitting the fire to get hot and burn that sugar, okay? That's no good. So we're going to put this back on. We're going to let it go for a while. And when we get back, I will show you how to put it in the jars so that there's no messing around to it. Again, no water baths, no heating up the jars, but it is safe and it is sterile. So, so we'll do that when we get back.